We've taken for granted Major League Baseball as a recurring thought experiment in strategy. If players, coaches, managers and front office employees were handed a rulebook and left to their own devices, what would baseball look like? For the last 37 seasons, you could track the evolution of the sport with only the human beings and technology changing. The basic rules stayed the same. That's about to change. The biggest story of spring training was the introduction of MLB's first major rules changes since American League teams first used designated hitters in 1973. Beginning next season, relievers will have to face at least 3 batters unless the inning ends first. The number of roster spots will increase to 26, but the number of allowable pitchers will be capped. Position players will no longer be allowed to pitch except following the 9th inning of an extra inning game or if their team has winning or losing by more than 6 runs at the time they enter. Mound visits have already been reduced this year, from 6 to 5. One pace of action construct was already imposed too, when between innings commercial breaks were capped at 2 minutes. Another pace of action construct, a pitch clock, was not. Against this backdrop, now is a good time to look at how the game on the field is trending. Thursday will mark 3 weeks since opening day in North America, and a little longer since the A's and Mariners played their early regular season games in Tokyo. Since it's still early, it's also worth asking whether each trend can continue until the end of September. I'll offer my best guess on each. 3 true outcomes. Up. When Commissioner Rob Manfred talks about the amount of action on the field, this is the starting point. The 3 true outcomes. Home runs, walks and strikeouts, inherently and every plate appearance without a ball in play. They reduce action. They also are the 3 outcomes that pitchers, strikeouts, and hitters, walks and home runs, are being coached to pursue now more than ever. If you only started paying attention to baseball in, say, 2012, and stuck with it to the present day, the increase in 3 true outcomes might be the most conspicuous difference in gameplay. So far, the trend isn't changing. All 3 outcomes, strikeouts, 22.3% to 22.9%, walks, 8.5% to 9.4%, and home runs, 3.01% to 3.41%, have risen through Tuesday's games compared to 2018. Will the trend continue? Absolutely. Fastball velocity, stagnant from 2008 to 17, the average fastball got a little faster every season. A funny thing happened in 2018, the trend suddenly stopped. Pitchers collectively settled on 92.8 miles per hour as the sweet spot, the midpoint for how hard they wanted to throw a fastball, or as hard as they could throw the pitch and still command it. Say it is again in 2019. Of the 26,444 pitches Fangraphs classified as fastballs, the average speed was a perfectly predictable 92.8 miles per hour. Will the trend continue? Probably not. The similarity to 2017 and 2018 is uncanny, a little too uncanny. As new, likely younger pitchers are summoned from the minor leagues over the course of this season, expect average fastball speed to tick up. Shorter starts and/or more openers might have the same effect, more on that in a bit. 3 batter minimums might have the opposite effect next year. But even a tenth of a mph in either direction wouldn't change the broader idea that human beings have reached some kind of God-given limit for pitch speed. That's a topic too profound for this paragraph. Openers downed last season, the Tampa Bay Rays played 61 games in which their starting pitcher recorded 6 outs or fewer. Ryan Stanek epitomized the novel profile of the opener. He pitched a total of 40 innings in his 29 starts. In a copycat league, the A's and Twins found the same role for Liam Hendriks and Gabriel Moya, respectively. So far, Stanek is up to his old tricks, 2 starts, 3 innings pitched. The Orioles dabbled with an opener, Nate Karns, before placing him on the injured list. But the rest of the league hasn't followed in lockstep, preferring the 5-man rotation through their first 2+ turns. Will the trend continue? Unlikely. The Rays only unlucked into their strategy through a series of injuries. Stanek didn't open his first game last year until May 31st. Give this another 2 months before declaring the opener dead. We can safely say it isn't any team's plan outside of Tampa or Baltimore, but it might be some team's plan B. Shifts up. We haven't quite reached Shift-A-Get-In, but the time is nigh. According to Fangraphs, the number of plate appearances that have ended with a defensive shift on 3,049 is closer than it's ever been to the number of plate appearances with a shift off 4,958. Latecomers to the strategy, such as the Marlins, are hoping to close the gap. The bottom line, a ban on shifts would disrupt more teams now than ever. Will the trend continue? For now, yes. Like the opener, every team could abandon defensive shifts tomorrow. It's more of a strategy than a skill, like, say, hitting ground balls through openings on the opposite side of the infield. If enough pull hitters hone that skill, defenses will adjust, but that could take years. In the short term, any shifting strategy that doesn't prevent runs ought to disappear quickly. Any shifting strategy that works will only catch on. Pitchers hitting better. If National League pitchers want to convince the commissioner they deserve a chance to hit, their opportunities might be dwindling. Consider the last 3 weeks a cautious step forward. Through their first 342 plate appearances, pitchers had improved their batting average, on-base percentage and slugging percentage compared to 2018. Weighted runs created plus WRC, which takes the league-wide run environment into account, shows pitchers making progress too. A -8 WRC is still horrendous, but it would be the highest by pitchers in any year since 2011. One argument in favor of the DH, pitchers are more specialists now than ever. Their -25 WRC in 2018 was the lowest of all time, and they haven't cracked zero since 1982. In that regard, this year's crop of pitchers still have a ways to go. Will the trend continue? Doubtful. I'm willing to believe 2018 was an outlier year for pitcher incompetence at the plate. But the same young flamethrowers who debuted this season have specialized in pitching more than their 30-something counterparts. The general trend line doesn't favor the Madison Bumgarners and Zach Greinke's of this world.